This show brought to you by Welcome to Inside Sim Racing. I'm Darin and I'm here for my full review of Forza Horizon 2 for the Xbox One. And Forza Horizon 2 will be released on September 30th here in the States, and then October 2nd and 3rd abroad, depending on your location. So it'll vary. For the Xbox One and the 360, I'm only going to be reviewing the Xbox One version. That's all I have. And honestly, that's all I plan on reviewing. I don't plan on going back and getting the 360 version because, needless to say, the Xbox One version is probably going to be much better. The Day One Edition, which is what I have here, will retail for $59.99 in the US, $49.99 British pounds, and €69.99 Euro when it's released. It's published by Microsoft and Turn 10 Studios and developed by Playground Games. And if you're not familiar with Playground Games, these guys have pulled from dev teams all over the racing game genre and have been around since 2009. Development teams like Bizarre Creations, BlackRock Studios, Slightly Mad Studios. I didn't know that a lot of those guys, or that they had pulled people from those different studios. So they have quite a team assembled. The guys that did the Toka Grid and Dirt franchises for Codemasters are part of Playground Games, so they got quite a team. So now let's talk about some features of Forza Horizon 2. I'll try to be brief because you may already know about them, but for those of you that aren't familiar, I figured I'd tell you. If you don't want to see this, fast forward to the meat and potatoes of this review. It has more than 200 cars, and most likely we'll see more with DLC. The cars range from extreme off-roaders to modern supercars, classic muscle, and more. Every car and truck has a full cockpit view, including functional windshield wipers, working headlights, and authentic interiors. Although you can't turn on the windshield wipers and headlights on your own, they come on depending on when they're needed. The location is set in Southern Europe with a dynamic weather system for the first time in a Forza game. It will also cycle through day and night, and race environments will be time and condition customizable. A road trip career mode adapts to your car choices with hundreds of events. So, for instance, if you pick a Ferrari, or my first car was a 69 SS Camaro, you'll see other cars similar to that along the road. I mean, you may see a little bit of a variation. Seems like the world varies depending on the car that you're in. There's a variety of free roam driving that consists of racing, hunting hidden treasures like bar find cars, which, man, those things are buried. I probably searched for an hour in one location for a bar find, and I could not find it. You can also show off your customized rides at car meet locations spread across the world, which was okay. I mean, it's kind of cool because you could look at other people's cars, like other driver tars, and I'll talk about the driver tar system in a minute here. But basically, you show up and there's 5, 10 cars sitting there, and you get to go and check each one of them out if you want. It'd be cool if you could drive them, but you can't. There's also some cool special events like racing against planes and trains, and you can also find power-ups scattered all over the landscape. And when I mean power-ups, there's actually XP level ups. You basically just smash through a board and it gives you XP. I've gotten up to, I think I found one that was 15,000 XP. I know 7,500 for sure, but most of them are 1,000. You could also do fast travel boards that you smash through, and I believe you get free fast travels for those. So those are pretty cool. Multiplayer allows for 12 players at once, and you can do a variety of activities. I'll talk about those in my multiplayer section in a little bit. You could also create or join a car club that consists of up to 1,000 members. And speaking of which, if you'd like to join the Inside Sim Racing Car Club, it's called isrtv.com, or the 3-letter tag ISR. It's open to the public. I welcome you all to join it, and let's team up and see if we can outscore some of those other clubs in the leaderboards out there. Unless you've got a club you want to join, then that's cool too. But come and join the Inside Sim Racing Club. I would be cool to get as many members as possible in it, and maybe we could all, do some meetups and do some of the fun events that are online. in solo play, the driver-tar technology from Forza Motorsport 5 makes its way into Forza Horizon 2. Only on the Xbox One, by the way. And I have to say, there is good, and I'll talk about this a little bit later too, but there is good or better than some humans I've raced on the console online. So I think they've really made some improvements to that driver-tar technology. And speaking of which, now might as well just get to my review. I've started kind of doing my review as I was talking about the features. I didn't want to make the features too much from the box cover. So first thing I'm going to talk about, Simcade. Sim. I didn't even mention Sim first because you know it's not a Sim. So Simcade or arcade. Due to the Forza Motorsport handling and physics of this title, this is definitely a Simcade title with simulation physics and definitely an open world driving experience with some arcade flair. I mean, like racing against jets and trains, that's definitely on the arcade side, the whole power-up thing. But I gotta say, the driving and the racing, man, it's pure sim. I'd say in some of the best physics on the console to date. So anyway, again, there is some cade to it, and I'm finding it very enjoyable. But let's just get on to the real meat and potatoes now, starting with the physics. I was just mentioning it. Very much on the sim side, and what feels like the same exact tire model and physics from Forza 5. The off-road driving is amazing, the way the cars slide and react to the terrain. I'd say the wet road physics are a little dumbed down because it doesn't seem as slick as it should be. But on the other hand, when it comes to the off-road stuff, when you get on the gravel and you're plowing through fields and stuff, I was on multiplayer with Brian Meckberg and those guys, and I think the first round I was in my Subaru WRX, and by the way, it seemed like every round I was taking a knife to a gunfight. Those guys were like level 80. I think Meckberg is just level 80, and I was like on level 7 at the time. So I had no cars in my fleet, and so the first race I was in a WRX. That I was fine because it's all-wheel drive, so I was doing okay, and if we went off-road or whatever. But then we did I think it was an A-class event. I thought, oh, I had bought this Corvette. I'll bring out the Corvette, hoping, I guess, that we were going to be doing a lot of road racing. Every single race had dirt in it, and that Corvette, rear-wheel drive, 600 horsepower, whatever it is, was all over the place, just like it should have been in real life. So I'd say they've done a really incredible job, especially with that tire model and physics model, and putting it in the dirt, because I've just had a blast driving it. A little more on the physics. Full tuning and upgrades are available just like in Forza Motorsport. It wasn't available in the original Forza Horizon, so it's great to see that they've taken that whole aspect of Forza Motorsport and ported it into Forza Horizon 2. So pretty much all the things that you can set up on a car in Forza Motorsport are here in Forza Horizon 2. And you can do full upgrades. As a matter of fact, somebody had asked, I wonder if you could do engine swaps and stuff like that. And sure enough, I got my Jurassic Park liveried Land Rover into the shop. And I went from a 4-liter to like a 6-point-something-liter V8. Fully modded the thing out, so now it's up to a performance index of like 800 points, and it's just an off-road beast now. It's a friggin' blast to drive. Next, I'm going to talk about the force feedback and wheel settings. And Forza Horizon 2 is compatible with the Thrustmaster TX and the full ecosystem that Thrustmaster has for that wheel. So you can run T3 PA pedals, you can run with the clutch, TH8A shifter. The setup screen is identical to Forza Motorsport. And as a matter of fact, in my first hour, I didn't realize you have to scroll down to get to vibration, degrees of rotation, and force feedback settings. Again, all the same adjustability that you'll see in Forza Motorsport. The whole dead zone thing, and actually comes default with 0 on the inside dead zone and 100 on the outside dead zone. The only one I changed was the clutch. I basically shortened the throw up. So I took in the outside dead zone and took out the inside dead zone. So basically, when I'm snapping that clutch and shifting gears, I'm not misshifting. You can adjust the force feedback and vibration from 0 to 100. You can adjust the degrees of rotation from 270 up to 930 degree increments. I recommend just sticking it at 900. There is not a car that I've driven yet that needs to go below 900. And in Forza Motorsport 5, there was a deal where if you ran right around 400 degrees of rotation, you had more feel in the wheel, especially at center. Not the case with Horizon 2. I'm feeling everything at 900 degrees of rotation. As a matter of fact, I had to back down the force feedback to about 80 because when you go off-road in these cars, you're gonna work up a sweat. At least I have, because it becomes a handful to the point where if you got it up too high and you're not paying attention, that wheel's gonna come out of your hands. So, and you're gonna want that extra degrees of rotation so you can really manhandle the cars, drifting around corners, drifting through fields, all that kind of stuff. It really helps out. The TH8A works like a charm. Plug and play, you don't have to configure it or anything, it's just fully compatible. And in regards to the controller and button configuration, again, the same as Forza Motorsport 5, I would like to be able to do a manual configuration or custom configuration versus just using their 5 defaults, because I'd like to set the buttons up the way I want them, not the way they think we want them. I'd also like for the wheel to have a full look around on the D-pad. And I would like to be able to look around a little bit more, especially looking for barn finds and stuff like that. I like to drive from the cockpit, so you know, trying to just look straight left and look straight right can be kind of a pain. And I'd say you're at a little bit of a disadvantage too. So speaking of cockpit mode, let's go on to graphics. And I've seen a lot of people bitching and moaning about 30 frames a second. Now, as long as 30 frames a second, sure, everybody would like more. It's like that with cars. Everybody wants more. You want more horsepower, whatever it is. And it seems like in the gaming industry, there's always people that just aren't satisfied with what we have. And take for granted what we have in today's day and age. Man, if you've been around as long as I have in the gaming industry, it has come so far in the last 20 years. I guess I really can appreciate it because I've been through all of it. I mean, I've been gaming since I was a kid, so I've been gaming for more than 30 years. And it has come leaps and bounds. If you guys played the stuff that I had to play when I was a kid, man, go look up some Intellivision footage here on YouTube. Anyway, 30 frames a second seems to work great for me. I'm not feeling any input lag. Definitely no frame rate issues, man. It is running rock solid with stuff flying everywhere, rain, yeah, you know, wet roads, the works, and it looks stunning. The graphics in Forza Horizon just look amazing. The day to night transitions are just awesome, especially when the sun sets and the horizon, perfectly put, is like an orangey red glow. Just looks awesome. And then when your headlights pop up, and I tell you, when you're driving with headlights, good luck doing barn finds or something like that and being out in the middle of a field. You have very limited field of view or depth because the lights are only shining so much. The rain on the windshield with after the wiper hits them just looks amazing. So graphically, I think it's amazing. And I can't think of anything I'd change. Maybe if we can get it to 60 frames a second, but you know, they are limited on the console. We're not running on a PC here where people can upgrade their video cards and all that stuff. So I guess my only gripe was I'd like to adjust the field of view so I can move maybe a little bit closer in the cockpit. But I have to say, compared to Forza Motorsport 5, I like the cockpit views, at least on everything I've driven, a little bit better. It seems to push you more towards that windshield and you've got a wider field of view versus some of the cars in Motorsport, Forza Motorsport 5, you just feel like you're sitting in the back seat to an extent. How about I go on to damage now? And I have to say that if you're running some of the off-road events and you're running with full simulated damage, good luck, especially on your first runs until you really know the tracks. And even when you do know the tracks, if you run it against the AI, you can do some bumping and banging, and it can damage your car. They have a really good damage model. Again, something that they've taken from Forza Motorsport 5. And you can just beat the crap out of your car to the point where your shifting slows down, the car starts sputtering, broken windshields. So damage is very intense. Again, I was talking about the multiplayer with Mechberg and those guys. I think every one of them was running with a gamepad. I was the only real driver. And I got a feeling a lot of them were running with assists on and no damage. And so I was at a huge disadvantage. And so I turned the damage off just so I could compete, because I think one of my first road trips with those guys, my car was only going 80 miles an hour because I ran it into a pole or something. So damage is really intense, and I really enjoy it a lot. Again, if you want the ultimate challenge offline, put the driver tars at unbeatable, all assists off, simulation handling, simulation damage, and good luck winning on your first run, especially on the off-road events, man. It is very difficult. Sounds. As usual, the Forza franchise sets the benchmark for sounds on the console as far as the racing games go. I think you need great sounds when it comes to racing. And some people say, well, you're not sitting by the exhaust pipe, so it shouldn't sound like that. Well, you know what? We're playing a video game, so I want to hear the car sound throaty. I like to hear the thump of the car, the throaty V8s and the screaming, inline motors, and it's. I think they've done a great job. When you're going off road and banging through stuff, the sounds of the damage are. Again, I just think they set the benchmark not only on the console but almost industry-wide for sounds. So very well done. So a lot of times during our reviews, we'll talk about tracks, and needless to say, being an open world title, Forza Horizon 2 does not have any tracks. Now, when you go to race some events in these championships, sure, they've carved out point-to-point trails and have created tracks that you drive on, and they're a lot of fun. But just in general, I'd say as far as the amount of feeling that you get when you're driving over some of these roads, especially when you go off-road, it's just incredible. I'm feeling so much coming through that wheel that it really enhances the experience. And back to the whole simcade versus arcade, if you want a great, and this is kind of going off, actually I'll leave that for my final thoughts. But anyway, tracks and the road feel is just awesome. Again, I'd like it to be a little slipperier on in the wet, but overall, it's just, I think they've done a great job of. I've never been to Southern Europe or wherever this is. I think it's Southern Europe. Yeah, it is, because it's in France. I've never been there, but it seems like they've done a great job modeling it. So let's talk about the AI, or the drivatar functionality. And as I'd mentioned earlier, they run just as good or better than some people I've raced against on the console online. So I think they've made some big improvements on it over time. I know they've been tweaking it and adjusting it since the beginning of Forza Motorsport 5, but I think it's well done. I like how it reacts, and I'm imagining it's just going to get better as more people drive Forza Horizon 2, because I'm imagining it's just taking data from the cloud from Forza Motorsport 5, but I enjoy it. I think it's really cool, and it made for some great offline racing. Now to online racing. Tons to do. But I would have liked to have seen more than just 12 players. I think that's selling this open world title a little short as far as its capabilities. I understand the limitations of a console, limitations of the network. I'm not sure. I'm assuming you're having to connect up to the person that hosts as far as how good that network is. Because if you're a hardcore sim racer, you'll know that we have to run on dedicated servers to get large fields. And then if you go to like an iRacing, they have dedicated servers set up in multiple locations in the world, and to get the best possible connection to that server. I know that's a limitation of the console. I would love to see it change, but I was hoping that it would in this generation of consoles, but we're not seeing that yet. So I would have liked to have seen at least 16 players. 12 is fun, especially in some of the, the King mode and the infected game mode, which they're a blast, don't get me wrong. Team racing, stuff like that, but I would have liked to have seen more players, especially in the open world when you're going on the drives and stuff. Imagine if this Forza Horizon was set up where there was hundreds of people on the map. Even if they're just shown as ghosts in the interim, and you can go up to them and you can go up to anybody while you're driving pretty much, at least driver tars, and there's different levels of driver tars, and race them just out of the blue. And that's a lot of fun. So imagine if you were just open world driving online and there was hundreds of people out there and you could just drive up to them and challenge them. I think that would be awesome. But that's not the case for now, and we're have to settle for 12 players. And speaking of which, AI, it seems 12 players is the max as well, as far as the cars that you're driving against. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Maybe a little too long for you, maybe too short for some of you, but I tried to cover as much as I could. Went in depth as I could. Not going to go over any pros and cons because I pretty much just did in going over all those different sections. But I am going to throw some final thoughts out here. And I started to touch on those a few minutes ago. And if you're a hardcore sim racer like I am, and I think as I'm getting older, I'm kind of transitioning to more stuff like this. And not that I don't enjoy the hardcore stuff, because I do. But I love these types of titles, especially with this type of physics engine, being able to use my Thrustmaster force feedback racing wheel with my shifter in an environment like this, with this type of physics engine, open world, all these different activities. I mean, I could sit here for hours playing Forza Horizon 2 and not get bored. I think it comes down to a lack of time and energy, because it could be a workout, doing some of this off-road stuff, and it's just really well done. I'm really impressed. There's tons to do offline, and then if you get bored with that, go online. There's tons you can do online too. So I'd say this title is really deep and offers hours and hours of playability. So if you're familiar with our show from the past, we used to do a rev scale. We don't do that anymore. I'm just going to give it a huge thumbs up. I highly recommend it. I'm going to be playing it a ton more. Would love to play it with you guys out there. Remember, I got that club, so if you'd like to join my club and try to get me to come out and race with you, I'd love to spend some time out there doing some online stuff. I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. So again, title's going to be out on September 30th. I'd like to thank the guys at Turn 10 and Playground Games and their PR team for hooking me up with this early access. And great job to Playground Games and everybody involved with the development of this title. Again, I'm really enjoying it. So I hope you enjoyed my take on Forza Horizon 2. And stay tuned. On the 30th, I will release all that gameplay footage if you'd like to watch it, and I'd appreciate it if you did. And speaking of appreciated, I'd appreciate it if you come join us at our forums to discuss this title. And speaking of which, I'm going to have a Forza Horizon 2 section. We already do at our forums, so if you want to do a meetup, go online and do some racing, come join us at our forums and let's all hook up. ISRTV.com is how you can get there, and we'd appreciate you joining us. Speaking of appreciating it, we'd appreciate a like on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and a subscription here on YouTube. And we'd love it if you gave us a thumbs up. So I'm Darin Ganji for Inside Sim Racing. That's going to do it. I'll see you guys next time.